Recently, I saw some engagement farming asking where Triple H ranks in the all-time greats, and my answer was nowhere. I genuinely have never given a shit about him and can't even really think of any great matches that I would credit to him. That may seem harsh, but it's always been true. I grew up in perfect condition to just never care about him. My first year watching full-time he was injured most of. Then when he came back and the draft started, and while his run on the top of Raw was known as the Reign of Terror, SmackDown was so much better at that point I just was really only watching that. Really from then on, whenever Triple H would be on, I just wouldn't be watching, and by the time I really got back into things, he was already in his role as an authority figure and wrestled so uh, uncommonly that I didn't really ever get a good impression of him. And besides, he also just seemed really cringe, but this put a little bug in my brain. Maybe we could go back and watch some of Triple H's greatest matches, and I could get a new appraisal of him and come back as a bigger fan than before. I might even have a new favorite wrestler. I found this list of definitive, no arguing, best matches, and now we're going to review them. It's going to be great. First, there's something I want to get out of the way here. Whenever I see the case being made for Triple H, I often hear people talk about his kayfabe achievements, and I'm really not going to be worried about that. I mean, they're kayfabe achievements. We're not marks, are we? Second, I was going to consider promo ability here. What is Triple H's Hard Times, his King Dewey, his Austin 316, and I couldn't really think of anything off my head, so I went to Cage Match. And according to them, his top 2 rated promos ever, all time, are the His Name is Cactus Jack promo, which, I wasn't really cut by him. He was just in that segment, and fair play. His facial reaction is great in that, but not really his promo. Second is the I am the fucking game, JR, which, if you want to look at a time capsule, everything that is wrong with promos right now, cut it inside baseball bullshit, kayfabe breaking, stupid crap like that. It's really bad. It's MJF's favorite promo for sure. Finally, before we get started, I want to talk about Tom McGee. He was a wrestler who had a tryout match in 1986 in Canada, where, looking at the monitor, Vince McMahon thought he was looking at his next Hulk Hogan. This was the guy they were going to build the company around. This could have been their megastar into the future, into the next 10 years. By 1990, he had retired. He just fizzled out, didn't work, bounced off completely. So what was it about that first match that made Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson thinking they were looking at the next big megastar? Oh, in professional wrestling, it takes 2 to tango. You can never really attribute the quality of a match to one performer or the other. That being said, I think a sign of skill is when you can take someone with a lot less experience or skill than you and bring them up to your level and, have something great with them. Bret Hart had plenty of great matches and against all-time greats, that's for sure. But when you think about it the other way around, how many people who are not considered all-time greats had their best matches with Bret Hart? And you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. Some guys are just that extra special where they can take another 10% out of their opponent and really bring the whole thing up to a level where the match is then, greater than the sum of its parts. That's why when people talk about, say, MJF's title reign and talk about how great it was, they go, wow, come on, look at the matches with Konosuke Takeshita, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, and you kind of got to look at them like... But enough about an overrated wrestler and bad promo whose great work is carried by people who are much better than them and whose work falls apart when they're with somebody who's less capable. Let's talk about Triple H. Next, I want to talk about some, misconceptions about who Triple H is. Something interesting about the professional wrestling industry is perception being more the reality than reality. In basketball, say, there are people who are kind of ascended past the sport. I don't know anything about basketball, but I know who Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Stephon Curry, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, I know who they are. This is kind of thanks to their stellar records both on the court and, in real life. These men have a charisma about them that make them larger than life on top of their stellar records. In wrestling, it's a little different. In wrestling, since the numbers are all fudged, you can have somebody who has a LeBron record, but not really a LeBron cultural impact, we'll say. That's why, despite winning a lot less titles, the public might know more about somebody like Roddy Piper than Triple H. While, in kayfabe, you could easily put Triple H in like a top 10 or Mount Rushmore or whatever for WWE. We're not really talking about that. We're talking about the bell-to-bell wrestling. Next is Stephanie. A lot of people write off the way Triple H ascended as, oh, he married the boss's daughter. You kind of hear that joke all the time. That despicable kayfabe list graphic I showed even had Stephanie as one of Triple H's winnings. Can you believe that? Fucking shit. Jesus Christ, we're so cooked as a fan base that's just like unbelievable. Now that I'm saying it out loud, what the fuck? But wife or no, I'm sure that helped, and that probably is where he's in the position now as head of WWE Creative. I don't really think that's how he got to where he is on a kayfabe level. You see, Vince McMahon, what he liked to do is he would kind of build a company around a guy. You take your big top name, and then like everything under that doesn't matter. Tag teams doesn't matter. Secondary titles doesn't matter. It's all kind of built around the main guy, and you can see that with you can just go down the line. You could look at the history of the WWF, and you go Bruno, and then you go Backlund, and then you go Hogan, and you go Warrior for a little bit. They tried with Warrior, didn't really work out, but then it's Bret and Shawn, and then it's Austin, and then a little bit with The Rock, and then John Cena, and then all the way now to Roman Reigns. Oh, I guess Cody Rhodes is now, whatever. So Vince picks his guy, and but then that guy needs someone to feud with. But look at 1999 when Triple H started his rise. Who else was there? Stone Cold was out. Big Show didn't work. The Rock was getting too popular to stay a heel. Mick Foley was winding down. The Undertaker was hurt. Kane, I guess they just didn't have faith in him to carry that spot. So why don't we get a new guy? Hey, what about Sean's boy? Sean's boy. Shows up on time, works hard, no substance issues that the company cares about. A little adjustment to the look, you throw in the daddy's little girl angle on top of it, and you got your next top heel. And this was all before Stephanie and Triple H got together in business and also in life. I do really think that Triple H's ascent to the top was well before Stephanie was a thing. Even look at his villain origin story, the curtain call. He's supposed to be the one who gets punished for that, but how long was he punished really? He was Intercontinental Champion 5 months afterwards. It's not really much of a punishment depending on how you look at the Intercontinental title. So while I might make a joke here or there, or make a snippet, it's just for fun. I don't really consider that to be anything really to worry about. So this analysis is not really anything about Triple H, the promo guy. In my opinion, he's not very good. It's not as Triple H as the booker. I don't watch the product. And it's definitely not Triple H as a man, who I think his record speaks for himself. This is purely Triple H as an in-ring talent. Number 15, with Stone Cold versus Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit, World Tag Team Championship. Now this is exciting because this is one I actually remember watching live. I had just started watching wrestling in the year 2001. Great timing, I know. And I used to tape Raw and SmackDown and watch them the next morning before I went to school because I wasn't allowed to stay up that late. So that's fun. I was 8 years old when this match happened. This match is actually quite good. The story being that all four men are actually new tag teams, and Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho actually teamed up for the first time the night before, and Triple H and Stone Cold were bitter enemies before teaming up and winning the tag team titles. We don't have to get into all that. It's very complicated. And all four men are hurt from the night before. So you got this Raw tag team main event, classic little booking thing from the company. Stone Cold is able to hold his own as the match starts, but Triple H gets his ass positively whooped whenever he's in there alone with either of the Chris's, so it's time to cheat. Very long control segment as Stone Cold and Triple H working over Benoit. Finally, Jericho causes a ruckus, which opens up Benoit to get the actual hot tag, and we're off to the races. Kind of cleverly, all four men get a visual victory over the other. Triple H and Stone Cold both get a visual pinfall over Benoit, and Jericho taps out Triple H on the outside, which distracts the referee from the visual pinfall that Benoit is getting over Stone Cold. So they're trying to make all four of these guys kind of equal, which is pretty cool. Very good Raw main event. It even ends kind of cleverly where the heels get punished for their cheating ways, which causes them to lose the championship. They lose that little C, and Chris has become another C, Canadian End champion. That's lame. I'm not putting that in the video. The thing that makes this match most notable, though, is that this is the match that Triple H has his famous quad tear injury, which ends him for the rest of the year. All credit to the guy. I couldn't imagine being held in this position with such a horrifying injury, but the match isn't really super notable otherwise. The website that I found this list on also has lists for Jericho and Stone Cold, and obviously not for Benoit, but this match isn't even on their lists, so it's kind of like, that's the thing that's notable. Otherwise, about this match, will be nice. We'll give it 2.5 stars.
Number 14, WrestleMania 27 versus Undertaker, no DQ.
Oh boy, we're 2 matches in, and the match length has doubled. The official YouTube upload of this match doesn't even have entrances or pre-match promos in it. I think the storyline here is that Triple H wanted to fight The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but The Undertaker said no, and I might be confusing that with WrestleMania 28. My goodness, we're in for a rough video. This match is incredibly boring. After a brief back and forth, which isn't exactly hot, we're already epic match selling 6 minutes into the bell time. I hit you with a big move, pinfall, kick out, we lay there for 4 minutes, rinse and repeat. It is really bad. Initially, we kind of have a story where Triple H tries to go for the pedigree, but Undertaker gets out of it. But then, the 3rd time is the charm. Triple H hits it. Fuck that, I guess. At one point, Triple H is doing the 10 count punch in the corner, and Undertaker counters that with the last ride, but Triple H wiggles out. And then later on in the match, they do the exact same thing, but Triple H is not able to wiggle out of the last ride. I mean, he's already been there before. Is he stupid? At one point, The Undertaker dramatically picks up a chair and then throws it right back down in the exact same spot, which made me laugh. Triple H takes a back body drop off of the announce table onto the floor, which was pretty cool, I admit. I liked when The Undertaker kind of shoves at Triple H's head when they're both on the ground, and later on he kind of grabs at the ropes when he's trying to avoid getting dragged, which is kind of cool. That's about it, though. Big move, kick out, lay down, no passion, no fire, not even really a struggle. You get to the cinema part of the match where Triple H is stay down at The Undertaker, even though The Undertaker has put in like 80% of the offense at that point. Undertaker grabs the slowest gogoplata I've ever seen, and after like a full minute, Triple H finally taps out. And then there's like an absurd 10-minute post-match angle where they're both just laying there, and Undertaker has to be wheeled out, and Triple H, even though he should be dead after being a gogoplata for a full minute, he's able to get up and walk away, so good for him. Abysmal, 1.5 stars.
Number 13, Fully Loaded 2000 versus Chris Jericho, Last Man Standing.
This may come as a shock to our younger viewers, but there was a time when Chris Jericho actually wasn't the worst thing on TV every week. There's a promo package where we see Triple H getting antagonized by Chris Jericho for seemingly no reason at all, including Chris Jericho forcibly kissing Stephanie McMahon. Times was different, not better. We also get into Triple H's dynamic promo range.
I want Jericho. I want his ass. I want Chris Jericho's ass. I want Jericho's ass. I want Jericho's ass.
So we start off hot. We go to the outside. Triple H hits a hot shot on Jericho. Part of the ring is either audibly broken or not set up correctly or something. Triple H holds Jericho in place while Stephanie slaps him. Good for her. The WWF audience was unnecessarily harsh on Stephanie. It was really weird. While she would kind of become a weirdo herself, I don't think she ever really had a shot at being a normal person. I mean, it must have been really strange being a young woman who was put on TV every week and the audience would chant slut, slut, slut at her for no reason at all. And mostly that was goaded by her own father. Yeah, so while she became a total weirdo, I don't think that really reflects on her all that much. So, I mean, it does. I mean, we're all responsible for ourselves, but she kind of never had a chance at being normal. In fact, fuck the match. 3.5 stars. I recommend it. Whatever. There's kind of nothing notable about it, I guess. I didn't really feel anything. I mostly wrote about Stephanie. Highlight of the match actually is Stephanie, though. She has great facial expressions, whether Triple H is in control or she's like horrified at the sight of her husband's blood. It's good stuff. Shout out Stephanie McMahon. I'm sorry you're such a freak. It's not your fault.
Number 12, Survivor Series 2005 versus Ric Flair, Last Man Standing.
So Ric Flair beat Triple H in a cage match at Taboo Tuesday despite receiving one presidential ass whooping. The video package itself doesn't really go into why these two are so mad at each other than the fact that they used to be friends. Ric Flair is Intercontinental Champion, but that title is not on the line because Triple H doesn't want that bullshit. This is the first time I take a note on it, but goddamn, Triple H's entrances are so long. It's kind of unreal. It's always unnecessary. Dude just takes forever to get to the ring. Remember, like Misawa, he would just like come out through a sea of people and just be in the ring in like 5 seconds. Match starts when Triple H jumps Rick in the entryway, but WWE.com alert. Melina is on instant access now. I repeat, Melina is on instant access now. Now I said Triple H doesn't have time for that bullshit as a joke, but Triple H makes it real by throwing the fucking Intercontinental title across the ring. The story of this match is kind of that, Triple H totally outclasses Ric Flair at this point in his career, but that old dog will not die. He's just getting his ass whipped for a very, very long time. I see there's a sign in the crowd memorializing Eddie Guerrero, and I remember when this match took place, and it made me sad all over again. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero, one of the best of all time. We're coming up on the anniversary of his unfortunate passing. They're still in my heart, buddy. One of the genuinely great leaders of all time, Ric Flair, gets a screwdriver just jammed into his head and was just screaming in agony. Say what you will about the man, there's a lot to say about the man, but he genuinely is one of the greatest to ever do it. So the first major bump Triple H takes is with the announce table. Holds him down for a 5 count. Kind of ironic because, the whole match is about how he totally outclasses Ric Flair at this point, and it only took one big bump to get him halfway to losing. So every match so far, and spoilers, probably the rest of them too, are kind of built around making sure Triple H looks as strong and as tough as possible. Even except for like the tag match, which was not structured that way, and then God stepped in and tried to take Triple H's quad back, which made the match memorable for how strong and tough Triple H was. The idea here is the same as the Jericho match we just watched, except instead of being too young and dumb and full of fire to stay down, Rick is too tough an old dog to stay down, even if that fire is starting to fade. Flair almost eats a pedigree, but reverses with a backdrop on through the other announcer table, and really struggles to get to the ring so that he can get up. Really good stuff by Flair here. This is a great performance by him overall. I'm not convinced Triple H actually understands the idea of setup and payoff because, he goes like he's going to hit Flair with the chair. His second thoughts, he puts the chair down in another position and then just starts mountain punching Flair. And they fight back and forth a little bit. It seems like Triple H had no plan for that chair at all. So after a sick chair shot from Flair, finally takes back control, and he is just fighting like a dog. He's like biting him, punching him in the dick, anything he can do to fight off Triple H at this point. This actually is a great example of how like mind is actually more important than the body when it comes to this sport. And Ric Flair is a great example of this. He's finally like just breathing a fire into this match. Flair's only strength left at this point is to hit a few chops, but Triple H is able to hit 2 pedigrees, which each Flair is able to get up from with a defiant fuck you, double middle finger. Starts to get up from a 3rd pedigree, but Triple H gets the hammer, and that ends the match. The first genuinely great match of the list. It's kind of slow in the beginning, but it really picks up when Ric Flair takes over. 4 stars from me on this one.
Number 11, Backlash 2000, the WWF Championship versus The Rock.
At least it's not the fucking Iron Man match. So Triple H is out here with Stephanie. Vince is there, and Shane is, I guess, the referee of this match. So we're deep in the after WrestleMania, the McMahon in every corner thing. Vince gets on the mic. He says, "Remember, card subject to change, so no Stone Cold, guys. Don't think that Stone Cold is going to be here, because Stone Cold isn't here. Card subject to change. No Stone Cold." I have a note to look at Wikipedia to find out what the fuck is going on. I think I looked it up, but I don't remember. Big stare down, and I sort of cracked the code here in my notes, where I kind of realized that, Triple H is booked like a big coward heel. He's got all this like corporate backup, 1,000 whatever amount of all the help a young boy can ask for, but he kind of doesn't wrestle like that. He's sort of still supposed to be like a tough badass, even though he's got all this help in his corner. It kind of doesn't feel like it works. And JR even makes a comment on commentary. He's so good. Why do... hold on. Can I do a JR? Everybody can do a JR. I better be able to do a JR. By God, he's so good. No, goddamn. But JR says he's so good he doesn't need the help, which... yeah, kind of... So how... I don't know. Feels like, why would you fail if you are so tough that you don't need any help, and you have all this help and you still lose sometimes? I don't know. I mean, like, basically, like, it's like one of the most basic things of in-ring storytelling is that the babyface is better than the heel, so that's why the heel has to cheat. But they kind of portray Triple H as just as good. He just decides to take the shortcuts because lazy? I don't know. So that's kind of like the story of this match. Like, early on, The Rock counters a pedigree and starts stomping the mud hole into Triple H, but Shane pulls him off. So it's just like, basically just like, yeah, Triple H has every advantage. How is The Rock gonna, overcome all this? JR at one point talks about internet speculation, which is like the craziest thing I've ever heard him say. Double Count makes the case for Triple H's systemic cheating. I don't know what that means. So eventually The Rock finally makes his comeback, hits the DDT, but Shane refuses to count the pin because he's so evil. Somehow we get this like contrived spot where The Rock bottoms Shane and Triple H through the table at the same time. Cool. The Rock takes a crazy chair shot from Vince, and as they're lining up a pedigree, Stone Cold, he hits everybody with a chair shot. Like, everybody gets a chair shot. And Linda comes out with famously not corrupt Earl Hebner. The Rock hits the People's Elbow for the win. God damn it, this match sucked. About 90% of the match was just punches and an extremely long and boring control segment from the Man of the Hour. All the bells and whistles and smoke and mirrors that a boy could ask for. Why not just, have a match instead of this weird? It was almost like more like an angle than a wrestling match, because it's so contrived. There's just so much shit going on. Even though the whole match itself is just like smoke and mirrors to get that Austin stuff at the end, because they They can't tell you that Austin is too hurt to actually wrestle. So, but they need Austin there because otherwise WCW's gonna kick their ass, and so they got to have him there somehow, and it just is a mess. This is the kind of match that time really takes a beating to. I have no idea why they even considered this match for the list, other than like the names involved. I guess The Rock and Triple H in the year 2000. If you weren't sick of the McMahons in 2000, I don't know what to tell you. Almost 25 years later, I'm sick to death of these motherfuckers. 1 star here. At least it's not the fucking Iron Man match.
Number 10, Survivor Series 2002 World Heavyweight Championship, Elimination Chamber.
The first ever Elimination Chamber match. Now this one is one for the history books. You got Triple H, Shawn Michaels in his doo-doo tights, Kane, RVD, Booker T, and Chris Jericho. I just want to say it takes like 10-15 minutes to get everybody out, and my goodness, having gotten into CMLL quite recently, I really think, like, man, they really got it going where you can get like 6 guys out for a match in under a minute, because damn it. Also, Jericho comes out to this like Saliva song that I don't remember him coming out to. He's the only one in the whole match with a song that sucks. You got, I guess, I mean, it depends. I don't like. I'm sick of time to play the game, actually. I wrote that note that Jericho was the only one who came out to a song that sucks. But now I'm so sick of It's All About the Game or whatever it's called that yeah, I guess that song sucks too. And it's mentioned that Triple H was awarded the World Heavyweight Championship actually quite recently. Man, they really did not have any idea what to do with these fucking belts, man, let me tell you. They still don't. But that's a subject for its own day, I think. This is apparently, like, the storyline is that Eric Bischoff wants to one-up SmackDown using the Hell in a Cell at the last month's pay-per-view. So we got this, like, War Games-y type thing. We start off with RVD and Triple H. RVD is striking circles around Triple H until he takes a backdrop onto the steel grate. They talk about how recently that it sucks landing on this thing. They had to rechange the whole design of the chamber so that it doesn't suck so much. And you can hear, it is audible how bad it sucks to land on this thing. Triple H gets thrown into the cell wall hard enough that it busts the lock open and almost ruins the match, but good on him. He managed to save himself. Good job, Triple H. Gonna hand it to you. Another cool bit is Van Dam goes to the top of a pod, but he's rude to Chris Jericho on the way up, so Jericho grabs his foot through the chains while he's up there. It's like kind of a good use of establishing how versatile this environment is. You can kind of do a lot of different things with it, and it's kind of neat. Jericho comes in, RVD goes for this, like a springboard to the outside, and Jericho gets out of the way, so our Van Dam like catches himself on the wall. Great idea, actually, to have Van Dam start this match, because if anybody can get the most out of this new thing, it's him. So eventually H and Jericho take over. They start double teaming RVD for a while. Really just like the Elimination Chamber is like famously like a take on the War Games match, so obviously you have like the heels outnumber the good guys until they can get their like even the odds moment. Jericho tells Shawn Michaels to suck it at one point, laying the seeds for their future WrestleMania match. I'm excited to see how Triple H and Booker T interact with each other to lay the seeds for their own match down the line. There's a face-off, which leads to Booker T and RVD facing off. These guys are like so criminally underrated. It's funny, I like talking about how like both are like former world champions, but I mean, like, that just goes to show that like kayfabe achievements don't really mean anything. Criminally underbooked though. It's like obvious to anybody looking at it that they should have been the ones that Raw were really built around, but they kind of weren't really. Somebody had to come in and crush their momentum. I wonder who. But we're not going to get into all that. This is their only match in the list, so you can't spend too much time on that. We're here to talk about Triple H. After a while, Kane comes in like a house of fire. Jumping back a bit, as it happens, this is the one RVD eventually hits the 5-star frog splash onto Triple H. This is the one where Triple H actually almost gets his larynx crushed. Imagine we had 20 years of promos where Triple H talked for 20 minutes at the start of Raw sounding like Tomoaki Honma or something. That kind of would have been funny. Shawn Michaels finally comes in like a house on fire. That isn't even a joke. Eventually we get down to Triple H, Shawn, and Jericho. Triple H and Jericho team up on Shawn, and he has his, big. He gets busted up real bad, like crazy. Gotta hand it to him. I feel like, you take some years off and you come back and you want to bleed like crazy. I can respect that. So Shawn kicks Jericho and eliminates him. We're down to Triple H and Shawn. Shawn is rusty after so many years away from the ring, and Triple H has been in the match the longest, meaning he's the most worn out. So you kind of have like a solid meeting here in between the two in terms of power levels and stuff. Triple H gets the pedigree, and after a long wait, gets a 2 count, argues with the ref, and then feeds into sweet chin music. For the 3, we got a new World's Heavyweight Champion, Shawn Michaels. Really tough to rate this one. Never really been into this kind of match, and it being the first one, the very first one, I'm sure, it was a big learning curve trying to put it all together. Good call with the basic war game structure. RVD and Jericho were the real MVPs of this match. RVD doing all this like unique, crazy stuff with the structure, the pod, cell wall. Jericho, both of them bumping like crazy in order to get the gimmick over. You got to respect that. In fact, there's a really good bit of setup and payoff where RVD going for the frog splash off of the top of the pod and getting eliminated because of that actually kind of sets you up to really feel the danger when Shawn goes up there for his own elbow drop. I thought that was good. Unfortunately, the reliance on RVD to kind of do all the exciting stuff really falls apart when he's actually the first person eliminated from the match completely. Really slows the rest of the match down. Kane looked strong. That was neat. Was at one point a big fan of Kane. Damn it. Specifically for Triple H, though, I don't really know. He didn't really bring a whole lot to the table in this match. I wonder, though, because he gets sort of taken out, pulled to the side a lot after getting his larynx injury. So I wonder if the match changed at all because of that. That's kind of interesting to think about. 3 stars. He started the match, but as far as Triple H's performance, he started the match, kind of became a non-factor in it up until the end. And then puts over Shawn in his doo-doo tights and bob cut for new champion. So thumbs up to that. Everybody loves a new champ. Sometimes.
Number 9. WrestleMania 30 versus Daniel Bryan.
We start off with a WWE career retrospective for Bryan Danielson, his ascension from NXT guy to US champion to now, where he is incredibly over, like the most popular, undeniably the most popular wrestler on the entire WWE roster. This match was to get Daniel. I'm going to call him Daniel because it's weird. Wait, no, I'm just going to call him Bryan. So I can't get used to calling him Daniel Bryan. This whole thing is to get Bryan into the actual championship match later on in the night. But the stipulation is if Bryan loses, Triple H goes into the match instead. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but whatever. I feel like it should have been I don't know, actually. This is some on-the-spot thinking, but it kind of makes sense, sort of fan expectation at this point was that Triple H would be the one to want to kind of bury Daniel. I don't know what I'm the greatest wrestler of all time, okay? Fan expectation would be that he would want to bury Danielson. So I think that was kind of what they were leaning on in like terms of making, making Triple H possibly enter the triple threat match later in the night. I don't know. Cringe entrance for Triple H. I'm trying not to be mean about this guy at this point, but we're knocking on halfway through this list, and there's 15 years almost between this match and the chronologically first match that we've watched so far, and the guy's not changed a bit. Like just like nothing about his presentation. He gets a big extra entrance where like he sits on a golden throne with ladies around him. Famously Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair. But what can I say? It's lame. It's lame. It even like it doesn't even help that Danielson comes out later and he's just like basic, just like everybody loves him. So he doesn't have to do anything extra to get that reaction. He just walks out. What's the thing? He rings the freaking bell or whatever. Quick shout out though, because Brian got the Brody boots on, and you gotta love that. Quick stare down between these two. Triple H looks smug, but Danielson is undeterred. Triple H goes for the code of honor, but Danielson kicks his hand away. Tonight's not about that. Tonight's about beating up Triple H. Yeah, why were they so mad about him being like the guy? Wrestling, because like, okay, hold on. Because the storyline was that Stephanie and Triple H were in charge of things. They didn't think Danielson would be a good promotional-wise. They wanted Randy Orton to be the champion. But what would that matter? Because like if he was the best, right, he would just naturally get put in that spot. Wrestling isn't fake, is it? So kind of the story going into the actual match itself, though. Danielson's arm is hurty. Triple H goes for that, but Danielson's able to kind of out-tech him. And they kind of go for a thing where Danielson's trying to maintain control over the match, even though he's, very hurt and severely under-muscled. Good stuff. We're actually getting like mat work out of Triple H, which is, we're over 5 matches in. This is the 9th out of 15th match. But the 7th match is the first time we've seen actual mat work out of Triple H, which is interesting. Kind of weird, like, speaking of mat wrestling, we're getting like holds and stuff out of Triple H. He goes for like this, he does this like key lock, he does like this like hammer lock drop onto the apron. He does like, what did I write down? A crossface chicken wing on Danielson. Like, we're getting work in boots, Triple H. This is like the first time. It's super weird. Brian hits his video game comeback sequence, but Triple H counters that by just stepping back as Danielson does the flip off the top rope. That was good shit. Triple H hits a tiger fucking suplex in this match. It is... what the fuck? So there's kind of an interesting thing is they really, really work the crowd over, because whenever Danielson is not in control of the match, it's like silent. Because they're like, all right, fun's over. Our guy's not there. The second Danielson like hits anything, the crowd just erupts. Like everybody is here to see this guy win. Triple H starts punching Danielson in the corner, and I didn't mind for once because it felt like Triple H was just at the bottom of his bag rather than that's all he has. Legitimately, like, not even thrown everything at him. It's like he's thrown all kinds of new crazy shit at him. Stuff that we've never seen, and spoilers, will not see again on this entire list. Brian counters 2 pedigrees with a bat and a backdrop to hit the Psycho knee for the win. Crowd erupts, just goes crazy for him. Danielson gets to go in the match. Post-match angle where they beat him up some more. And Triple H hits with a chair into the ring post, so... oh no, is he going to be too hurt to actually wrestle later on? This match was rad. They actually told a compelling story about a hurt and undergunned Danielson overcoming this behemoth, and he feels like a behemoth actually, because he's just like hitting all this stuff that he'd never hit before. And it's not even to overcome the odds, it's to get a shot at overcoming the odds. It just makes him look really great. Good stuff out of both of these guys. But, you know, since Danielson is probably one of the best wrestlers to ever live, kind of not shocking coming from him. There were points where you thought Triple H was going to legitimately rip off Danielson's arm, but then Bryan would come back and the crowd would erupt, and it was good stuff. Triple H actually has working boots on. 4.5 stars for me for this one.
Number 8, Vengeance 2005, World Heavyweight Championship versus Batista, Hell in a Cell.
Big Dave. Love this guy. We get a promo about the dissension Batista faced to get out of Evolution into the World Heavyweight Championship. I wasn't watching Raw at the time, so I don't know how organic his babyface run actually went. Remember, like, when he moved to SmackDown, that was kind of when things started going downhill for that show, if we're being quite honest, but still love Batista. One of the greatest of all time in my heart. Maybe not in the ring, but in my heart. But yeah, I don't know if this was organic or if like WWE just like threw a dart at the board and nailed it, hit a bullseye, but yeah, here we go. So Batista, World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania, had another rematch, and you know what? You gotta go into the heck in a sec in order to settle this. So Triple H lost the title, lost a rematch, wanted another shot, and Batista told him to hit the bricks. Ric Flair tries to convince him to give Triple H another shot, and Triple H hits him with a hammer and challenges him to Hell in a Cell. I would have still said no. Triple H comes out, same as he ever has, and I'll peel back the curtain for a second and say, I'm fucking sick to death of this guy. I can't imagine watching his career in real time. It's just the same thing over and over again. That's why it's taking me so long to do this video, because I have to do the matches, write it out, and obviously now I'm filming. I gotta edit all this shit too. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. I hope you like it. Comment below if you think it was worth it. But JR calls the Hell in a Cell the Devil's Duplex. It's clearly a single family home. And they also make a point of waiting for both guys to get inside before they lower it all the way. And then they padlock the door. I would have just like padlocked it beforehand, or brought the cell down beforehand and then had them come in and padlock it. I don't know what they were doing. We start off with Batista falling for the look over there spot from Triple H. But it doesn't take long for Batista to take back over. They go outside. Batista takes a really nice slam into the ring post. He sells it like he got the wind knocked out of him. It's pretty understated, but like good shit. Like, this guy is so cool. That's kind of my review of this match. Batista is so fucking cool. I can't even believe it. I'm watching a clearly censored version of this match because Triple H starts choking Batista with a chain, and we get this big, crazy, long back shot of like the top of the cell, and it's not really the focus. Definitely wasn't what was on the pay-per-view, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. So I kind of don't really recall a lot of this match, if I'm being honest. I'm looking at my notes, and I don't really have like any kind of notation of a story. It kind of just seems like they're just going back and forth, hitting each other, throwing in the walls, steel chair, lawn dart. Triple H Cell's getting a lawn dart in the cell wall with a flare flop. That's kind of cute. Okay, that's cute. Despite not remembering this match at all, to supplement my notes, I put that a fan chant's boring. I don't know about that. It's not really exciting by any means, but I don't know about boring. So take what you will. It's not boring, but not memorable either. Long story short, Batista retains. So like, Batista goes for the Batista bomb, and Hunter tries to hit him with the hammer while he's up there, but fails. And 1, 2, 3, still the champion. Big Dave. Hell yeah. Hey, and my little wrap up, that's exactly what I put. It's not really much of an in-ring story type of match. Uh, they just kind of like hit each other until one of them falls over. Not really like a good thread of anything going on, I think, but hey, it's always a pleasure to see Batista. 2 stars.
Number 7, No Way Out 2000, WWF Championship versus Career versus Cactus Jack, Hell in a Cell.
Hey, another Hell in a Cell. I didn't even really have to erase Hell in a Cell, but I did. The second of the duology that kickstarted Triple H is a good wrestler allegations. Title versus career against Mick Foley. We get a little package for, both the rivalry between these two and the Hell in a Cell in general. Of course, last time Mick Foley was in the Hell in a Cell I think that was the last time. Someone fact check me on that. We get, we had the famous double cage bump that is playing in your mind at all times, even if you don't realize it. They're really putting over that this could be Mick Foley's last match, which is funny because I think he's back within like 3 weeks. But this was also the start of Mick Foley's star-making run, where like, hey, like he comes in, you have a hardcore match or two with Mick Foley, and he really puts you over the top as like, this is like the tough guy. He's not someone who's unbeatable by any means, but you got to kind of go to the next level. Like, you got to level up while you're fighting him, or else you're not going to survive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's Triple H, Edge, Randy Orton, like the sort of a formula, like the 3 guys that he made. All right, we start off with Cactus immediately trying to exit the cell, but the door is comedically padlocked. The crowd chants slut at Stephanie, and she wasn't even doing anything. Triple H hits the Cactus onto the steps while his head is underneath him. It must be really loud when they do that. That's what I've always just thought. That must suck a lot, actually. I wouldn't want to do that. Don't ever hit me with a chair on the steps, okay? I mean it. They're fighting a lot on the outside. Triple H goes for a pedigree on the steps, but gets countered into a slingshot into the cell wall, and Mick lands on the floor off of the steps, and he looks like he's legitimately in a lot of pain. It's kind of rough. Then hits a chair-assisted elbow drop off of the second rope to the floor. Absolutely disgusting. Cactus throws steel steps at the cell wall and almost kills a ringside guy. And I think what was supposed to happen was that the cell was supposed to kind of open up, because then Foley kind of just like charges through the cell. It doesn't really open it any more than it is, but I think it was supposed to open a little bit, and then he's supposed to finish the job. Instead, he kind of just runs into it for no reason, but you can't question the guy's commitment, okay? What he does do is open up a gnarly gash on his arm, and I gotta say, I love a good blood coming out of somewhere that isn't the forehead. Rare outside of deathmatch wrestling, but whenever you get it, it's always a great treat. So now they're outside of the cell. Cactus hits a pile driver onto the table. That was really cool. He tries to climb up the cell, but Stephanie pulls him off. So in response, Mick pulls out a barbed wire 2x4, which causes Triple H to go up the cell. Cactus follows him up. Triple H from the top, like, takes the 2x4 away from him, bashes him off. Foley falls through the announce table. You can actually see Mick grab his little gimmick out of his wrist tape, which is commendable. I don't even really know what that means. So here's the screenshot from the editing bay. Let me know if you can tell what it means, okay?
Hey, quick editor's note. I found out what that meant, and it meant that he pulled out a blade from his wrist tape so he could blade coming down from the top of the cell. Just Mick Foley's the most unbelievable wrestler of all time.
But this is actually, I think, a really, really clever way to fulfill the promise. One, fulfill the promise of Foley gave to fly off of the cell again, and 2, kind of de-escalate the bump from when he did it with The Undertaker. Instead of going from all the way from the top to the floor. He kind of goes off of the first section of the cell, so it's still a great visual, but then you kind of like take a step back and think about it, and it's kind of like sort of comparable for falling off of the top rope. I mean, I'm sure it still sucked, but I mean, it didn't suck nearly as bad as the 98 version, I'm sure. But I don't think anybody could really say that they were disappointed by this bump, while also severely mitigating the human cost on Mrs. Foley's baby boy. Yeah, to not kill himself in a match like this, which is great. So Cactus gets up, he goes to the top of the cage. It's real apparent while they're up there they gave the top a severe upgrading because it's not held by zip ties that are actively pinging off and creating huge holes in the cell wall. There's actually, it looks like some trusses that they can stand on pretty securely, so good for, I'm sure the OSHA folks are happy with that. That being said, they have a cameraman in the ring who shoots up through the cell so you can see the guys from the bottom, and it must be fucking terrifying to be up there. Really don't envy these two. Or anybody else who has to be up there, you know? Foley eats 2x4 but gets another dick blow. Triple H almost falls through the fucking corner, and fuck, I guess never mind what I said about it being safer. After hitting a couple of his signature moves, Foley lights the 2x4 on fire and hits Hunter in the head with it. He tries to go for a pile driver on the cell ceiling, but Triple H back body drops him, and once again Mick Foley goes through the cell, and this time lands through the ring. Again, I think they, after the first one, updated the ring mats to be a little bit less punishing, and then also this was clearly made up to be able to, take a little bit of a safer crashing, with Foley crashing through the ring. I guess they took the boards out, I would guess, but I don't know. Back in the ring, Triple H sort of looks in disbelief and metaphorically pokes Mick with the stick, and wakes up Foley again. Mick Foley eats a pedigree, and 1, 2, 3. That is the end of the career of Mick Foley. Post-match thing where Triple H walks out, and then Foley pushes off the EMTs and walks out on his own power, as the crowd gives him a much-deserved standing ovation. Fast-paced, brutal. I really recommend this match. You can definitely understand why. I mean, like, I made a crack about it earlier, but I get it. You get why Triple H was taken so seriously after this feud, because it is just nightmarishly brutal. As I'm sure you could probably guess, since we're working backwards here, this isn't the end of Mick Foley on this list. Really, like, what other way is there to go for this guy to, revisit the site of some of his most famous bumps ever? 4.5 stars for this one. I'd actually never seen it before, so I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Mick always brings the brutality, and it's kind of what you want out of something like this, right?
Number 6, WrestleMania 20, World Heavyweight Championship versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit.
Hey, I fit the whole word this time. I'm getting better. God damn it. So, God damn it. I gotta come clean about something. I haven't been able to watch any Chris Benoit matches since 2007. I can handle them in a Royal Rumble or in a Big Dumb Tag Team match, but I kind of just can't stomach looking at the guy, so there we go. I'm trying to be objective about Triple H, and I guess I'm going to try to be even more objective about Chris Benoit here. The story going into this match is Benoit earns his title shot by winning the Royal Rumble, and Shawn Michaels says, I want to fight in that match anyway. There's a promo package where in the contract signing, Shawn Michaels kicks Benoit and signs the contract. I don't think that should be how it works, but whatever. The story of this match is actually like pretty interesting. Shawn and Triple H are so focused on beating each other up that they kind of underestimate rather, Benoit, who severely whoops their ass whenever he gets like a shot at just them. Really good stuff, actually. Benoit, they really put over Benoit as like a monster. This is kind of his first extended foray, I guess you will. This is his only world title run in his time in the company, but like they really do a good job of structuring this match around making sure it's like, no, Benoit belongs here, and Shawn and Triple H are just like not ready for him at all. It's a really good match. Don't know if I want to do the extended play-by-play. Is there anything particular I liked about it? Great blood in this. Benoit like completely has the number of Shawn and Triple H. But finally, Benoit gets Triple H in a crossface. Triple H almost reaches the ropes, but Benoit rolls him over. Back in the middle of the ring, nowhere to go. Triple H has no choice but to tap out. And JR screams himself hoarse, celebrating the title win of Benoit. Famously, Eddie Guerrero comes out, his world title. They have their little moment. It's a moment that still brings tears to my eyes, and even like as I'm talking right now, it's like threatening to come up. Definitely one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history, and god damn it, like I genuinely miss Eddie, and I wish Chris didn't do what he did so I can miss him. God damn it. 4 stars, fuck it. So that concludes the bottom portion of our top 15. We're at the top 5, the apex, the creme de la creme, if you will. So far, I've been disappointed. While there have been a few matches that I have really enjoyed, for the most part, I was hoping that I would get kind of a more new appreciation of this guy. You know, get some actual critical achievements rather than kayfabe ones. But we're at the top 5 now. It's showtime, Paul. Time to stick the landing. Don't let us down. But this match is too long to go into any kind of, play-by-play on how the match plays out, do any kind of like long recap. It's a 1-hour match. I mean, go figure. I stand before you, a man who must eat his words. See, this whole series is about challenging your preconceptions. And, because I didn't like Triple H going into this, let's see if I got like Triple H coming out of it. And one of my preconceived notions was Triple H is The Rock's 60-minute Iron Man match. Fuck that. But, and genuinely, also after watching these two absolutely shit it up in the Backlash match, I was dreading watching this match so much, but somehow, against all odds, they actually knocked it out of the fucking park. They somehow avoided stupid bullshit up until legitimately the last minute of the match. They went out there and they told a story about attrition and endurance. Like there's one point in the middle of the match where The Rock does like a shitty back suplex, like it looks terrible. And then they point out on commentary correctly that, oh yeah, I mean this is legitimately right now the longest match The Rock has ever been in, and it's like they're selling the exhaustion and the pain and the weariness. They actually told a story in the ring. It's amazing. Who would have thought? It's not a perfect match. Early on, they do a lot of limb work that kind of goes nowhere and gets all but abandoned as the match goes on, but honestly, like they wrestled with such intensity, desperation, and by Jove, told the story in the ring. 5 stars against all odds. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't think so either. But yeah, I recommend this match. It's fucking fantastic. Like just 1 month before is in the last place in the rankings right now. Like who would have thunk it? Number 4, SummerSlam 2002 versus Shawn Michaels, unsanctioned street fight. The beginning of the Shawn Michaels feud that goes way, 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 way too long. We start off actually with a really long video package explaining how we got here. We get to see Triple H and Shawn being boys, and then Shawn goes away for a while, I guess. There's like a weird part where like Shawn gets jumped in a parking lot, and then they have like who did it? Who could have done this? And oh my god, it was Triple. You're damn right I did it. And then Shawn gets jumped in a parking lot again, but this time Triple H runs out. Hold on, that's actually so confusing. I gotta read the notes again. Okay, a weird double betrayal where H pedigree Shawn then goes to help him, then gets jumped backstage, and then he actually did it himself. It's super weird. It doesn't make any sense. It's like twist for the sake of twist shit, I guess, but I don't know. At the time, I don't think they were expecting Shawn Michaels to be like a full-time performer at all. I think they thought this was going to be just a one-off, which is kind of why we get like a violent blood match at the very beginning of the feud rather than building up to that. Like I think they thought like this was just going to be a one and done. I guess I get what they were doing at the time, but like in history, these two feuded until like for almost 2 years after this. Like goes far too long. So it's funny seeing, in history, in hindsight, how off they were with that. We get early control by Shawn. His kind of becomes like almost a greatest hits of his because, we get the plancha, we get the skin the cat, all that stuff. Because it's the first time he's wrestled in 4 years, and maybe the only time he wrestles ever again. So we got to get all our shit in. So Triple H works on Shawn's back a lot. It's kind of crazy because it makes you kind of can't help but think about how we just also watched the Elimination Chamber match where none of that really plays in at all. But they definitely sell it like Triple H is going to cripple Shawn Michaels in this match. They really early on also go for pinfalls. Kind of weird to me in a match like this, you would go for a pinfall early. See, in my mind, you get like a big blood feud, unsanctioned street fight, a lot of personal feelings. There's kind of an interesting thing where like the first person to pin the other is kind of tacitly admitting that they're also done fighting. You know what I mean? Like, so this is the like I can't get enough fight in you match, and like not a I gotta finish them off as quickly as possible to hit the pay window, daddy. You know what I mean? At one point, Triple H puts in the abdominal stretch, and Earl Hebner like shuts it down. He's like, no, you're gonna break his back. And I mean, it's the abdominal stretch. I'm sure it hurts the back, but I mean, it's also an unsanctioned street fight. Like, let the guy give up. Triple H hits a side slam onto an open chair. That's something I always like to see in the WWE. They were the E at this point. Just like, it's just violent crap. I love just violent shit. Just like, onto the open chair. Put the two chairs back to back and then land on the top. Like, hell yeah, give me that. Hunter bleeds deep. Speaking of violent crap, Hunter bleeds deep, and like, you gotta respect it. So there's a really long segment where you're just kind of walking around. Shawn's just like kind of hitting Hunter with random things. It's not very exciting, but at one point Shawn does steal Hugo Savinovich's shoe and hits him with that. I thought that was cool. There's a ladder. I put in the notes that at some point we see Michael Cole and Taz just hanging out. I wonder what they're talking about. Doesn't really have anything to do with the match, but Shawn Michaels, that Shawn, hits the El Santo splash through a table to the outside. Jarrett laments how there's no pinfalls outside, which makes me wonder also why not. Shawn hits an elbow drop from the top of the ladder. He goes, his little "I'm sorry, I love you" moment of the match. He looks at the crowd and goes, "I love each and every one of you," and then hits the elbow. It's like he's not even sure he's going to make it out okay, and that's thumbs up. He's fine though. He pops up, sweet chin music, counter, roll up. Shawn Michaels walks away the victor. He doesn't get to celebrate for very long though, because then Triple H hits him with the hammer. We get a full-on white smock doctor, and they wheel Shawn out while Triple H laughs. And oh, that damn cerebral assassin. It might have been cool to see Shawn Michaels wrestle again for the first time in 2002, which might have elevated the match a bit at the time, but in 2024, really, this match was quite boring. There were a few cool things that I liked, but there was a lot of meandering in between. The thing about pinfalls is, like, if you are done beating up your opponent, because this wasn't about winning the match, it was about beating up your opponent, right? So if you try to pin them, that means you're done. Like, you're already like, yeah, I've had enough. I guess I don't have to beat up this guy anymore. I'll just pin him, go home. Doesn't really fit the tone of the match. See, in my opinion, you don't even do in the match like this, right? You don't even do the first pinfall attempt until like 80-75% of the way through. That's just me. The fuck do I know? They also make a really big point of selling Shawn's back injury, and early on they do, and then they just kind of stop. So I feel mean about it, but I'm giving this match a 2. 2 out of 2 stars. 2 out of 5 stars. It's a 5-star scale. 2 stars. But now we're at the medaling matches. This is the Olympic podium of Triple H's 30-year career, or however long it was. This is like the culmination. This is the apex. Let's see what the bronze medal match for Triple H brings us.
Number 3, Royal Rumble 2000, WWF Championship versus Cactus Jack, Street Fight.
So the bronze medal goes to this match. So not only is this the match that is earliest in the chronological order of the matches that we're going to be talking about today, I guess kind of spoilers, whatever, but this is also where the Triple H is good allegation started. Once again, we're talking about him facing Cactus Jack. Video package, Triple H and Stephanie and their little power trip fire Mick Foley, and keep making fun of him, which is kind of rude. I mean, he's not even there anymore. Come on. Give him credit where credit's due. They didn't do blackface this time. The Rock stages a walkout demanding the reinstatement of Mick Foley, and we get a bunch of footage of Cactus in his death matches and stuff. Really cool stuff. I like when they acknowledge things outside of their bubble, you know? Including, and this is, I think, where it gets really neat, footage of Cactus Jack's actual debut, also against Triple H, at the time Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I focus on this video package because I think it is actually pretty neat. Something that is unique to wrestling. Like, this is a story that only professional wrestling can tell. It's the same two men in the same match, in the same building, 3 years apart, but now, like, the stakes are so much different. At one point, you know, he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, kind of in a dead-end gimmick, and he was pushed into the deep end by facing Cactus Jack in this match, and he found he could not swim. And now 3 years later, he's got all the power you can ask for, all the institutional control you can ask for. He's the top of the mountain, he's the champion, and now he's getting pushed into that same deep end, and we got to see, you know, how well does he do this time. And, you know, like, even the persona of Cactus Jack gets introduced the same way, being introduced by the persona of Mankind. I think that's really special. It's genuinely something that you can only get in professional wrestling. It's beautiful. There's a great moment during the entrances, too, where Triple H tries to bully someone at the timekeeper's table, only to turn around and see that Cactus Jack is, like, staring daggers right on top of him. And just, like, for a second, he gets, like, completely unnerved. You know, he tries to keep his composure, but he gives the game away he does this little water spit thing at an angle where he can kind of, like, keep Mick Foley in his whatever this is, in the corner of his vision. Really good stuff there. We start off with Cactus absolutely whooping H. They punching the shit out of Hunter. They go outside, he hits a neck breaker. Hunter hits Cactus with a ring bell. It barely phases him. JR calls him Mick Cactus Jack. They battle through the crowd and back into the entrance, and Cactus, like, backdrops Triple H onto a wood pallet and goes, "Wah! Wah!" What? Well said. Triple H has suplexes Cactus onto a trash can and notices he has this like crazy gash on his leg. It's really gross. And I don't know where exactly that comes from, but my money's on that wood pallet. Because if you've ever even tried to pick up one of those things, Splinter City, I'm talking boo-boos all day. Foley gets the barbed wire 2x4, but it gets taken from him by Triple H, who starts working him over, and it gets stuck in Cactus's shirt, so you know it's the real thing. The ref takes the 2x4 and gives it to Hugo Savinovich for some reason, and then Cactus goes out and threatens Hugo, who gives him a different 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire. Interesting. Cactus hits him with it a few times, including hitting it just like a disgusting elbow drop with it. Hunter just looks gross. He's just like horrific. He has blood pooling around his eyes. Beautiful. Cactus tries to go for the pile driver on the announce desk, but Triple H counters out and they both kind of just mush through the table, which was like good. I like when things don't really go to plan, you know? Like it makes it feel like unexpected, like really kind of like it's not predetermined, you know what I mean? Like there's a part, jumping back a little bit, in the Iron Man match where they go into the crowd and it takes a minute for like the camera to follow them up there. They have to cut to the hard cam like way back from the other side of the arena. It's cool, it's spontaneous, it's exciting. Hunter at some point pulls out some handcuffs and gets him on the Mick. We're about to even get a repeat of the Royal Rumble 99, but The Rock comes out, says, "Don't take my shit," hits Hunter with a chair instead. So finally, Cactus gets to pull out his lovely sack, and it is, of course, full of thumbtacks. After some finagling, Triple H actually body drops Cactus into the tacks, hits a pedigree, really mean one too, holds his arms all the way down, but only gets a 2 count. However, a second pedigree, this time into the tacks, is enough to end the match, meaning Triple H walks away with the WWF Championship still around his bloody waist. However, Triple H has to be stretchered out, but Mick, in the post-match little bit, pulls him off and tries to hit him with some barbed wire again, but Stephanie stops it. And where do we go from here? The Hell Cell match we talked about earlier, that's where we go. This match is really good. I mentioned it in the Hell in a Cell review, but Mick is super great at having these like, he's not unbeatable, but you gotta step the fuck up. Like you've never stepped up before to beat him. And you know, this Triple H in this instance did step up. You gotta meet and match and overcome Mick's brutality. Good stuff. Mick has always gone above and beyond to try to make his matches special. I mean, this is the guy who asked Big Van Vader to stiffen up for one of their matches. Fucking Vader. He asked Vader to stiffen up for one of his matches. Which of course Vader interpreted as, I'm gonna just start pounding him in the face like that. And Mick was like, "Yeah, you did good, buddy. Thanks." You can really feel it here too, like Triple H was taking some pretty big bumps, like on the concrete, on the wood pallet, so we got the gash in his leg. And even that little 2x4 switcheroo is like pretty honestly solid. Like you get just enough that when he's hitting Mick with it, that is like, oh, it's the real deal. Like it gets stuck in his shirt and everything, and then you just need to establish it as legit before you kind of can fake it after that. And it's kind of the cool little magic of pro wrestling. I love it. So this match is pretty much as good as remembered, with some good callbacks to the 97 Raw match, which was also very good. I ended up watching that too. Highly recommend it. 4 stars. Check it out with Steve Brule.
Number 2, WrestleMania 28 versus The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell.
So the second best Triple H match of his career is a rematch of the 14th best Triple H match ever. This time, 1 year later, we got Heck in a Sec, and Shawn Michaels is the referee. I had this one guy who I knew who used to gather everybody together at his house to get everybody to watch WrestleMania together. And for the most part, it was like 3 wrestling fans and 8 people who were just there to pal around. But I remember I had one friend there who, by the end of this match, was like, I'm going to kill somebody if I hear End of an Era one more time. No pyro for Shawn, I respect the restraint, but Triple H gets this big inflatable bounce house entrance, And speaking of Spirit Halloween, here comes The Undertaker. I hate this fucking mark. He stops at the top of the ramp and looks like he's going to do the lights up pose, but decides not to, so he kind of just stands there looking weird. We cut to Triple H looking bored. Same. King says this is the most awesome entrance in history, but like, I'm trying not to be a hater. This is no Onita at the Tokyo Dome. Thunder plays as Undertaker takes off his hood. Spooky. JR says, "What has happened to The Undertaker?" I'm not even gonna do that. He says, "What has happened to The Undertaker?" So he shaved his head. That's it. So fucking finally, after even the goddamn cell gets an entrance theme, the bell rings and we get started. After exchanging some shitty punches, we go outside immediately. The Undertaker hits a backdrop on the floor, but the camera doesn't get to see it. JR says, "This is the end of an era we will never return to." But like, both these guys wrestle for years after this. Triple H has a title run after this. Like, so what are we talking about with end of an era? I just put the note, these guys are slow. Mostly notes about hating the Undertaker. Undertaker does his stupid fucking old school. Push him. Just push him off. Undertaker puts some steps in, and Triple H tries to go for the pedigree on the steps, but Taker backdrops him off. Finally, something kind of cool happens. Triple H hits a spine buster onto the stairs, but Undertaker no-sells it and does his like slow Hell's Gate. Kind of cool, I'll be honest, you know. Triple H counters out of that with a power bomb onto the mat instead of the steel steps that the Undertaker is already beneath for some reason. JR says Triple H isn't wasting any motion, but that really depends on your definitions of wasting and motion. Triple H demands Shawn end the match, but Undertaker demands that he doesn't. You know, this match really hasn't had any internal story to speak of. Not really in terms of like the back and forth, they're kind of just like hitting each other with stuff, their moves and things like that. They don't even really seem to have some kind of like structural layout or anything like that. I mean, like Triple H hit him with the chair a whole lot, which is technically strategy, but like, you know what I mean? There's no tactical back and forth. There's no, you know, discovering and exploiting any weaknesses. It feels like you're watching a video game. So one of them hits the other until their counter meter fills all the way up, and then they swap places. Take, for example, like the steps Undertaker puts into the ring. He doesn't purposely utilize them. He doesn't even seem to have like a plan set up for the use of them. He just puts them in there because they have the spot where Triple H hits him with the spine buster on it. It's not like he doesn't have an opportunity to use the stairs, or he doesn't try to use the stairs and it backfires. He didn't have a plan. In fact, Triple H, despite being the one who utilized the stairs, is the one who throws them out of the ring and they never come back into play again. So now we move to the melodrama. These two haven't been able to put on any kind of story inside the ring, so we're going to just skip to a part where they just stand around yelling at each other. And this doesn't make any sense either, because Triple H hasn't even tried to like pin the Undertaker. It's not even like he's like, you know, like tried 30 times to pin him, but he just won't stop kicking out. He just immediately just like, "End this, Shawn, end the match. You do it or I will." In fact, they realize they didn't, because he yells that once, pins the Undertaker once. He of course kicks out, and then he just keeps yelling, "You end it or I will." So imagine any other match, like just like on Raw or something, where like after one half-hearted pinfall attempt, you got a threatening ref, "You end this or I will." Stupid. So Triple H pulls out the hammer, and they all argue about ending the match again. He takes the hammer, tries to go for a kill shot, but Shawn stops him and throws him out of the ring. He considers throwing out the match, but he can't do it. So Undertaker then puts him in the Hell's Gate for some reason. So then Triple H hits him with the hammer again. Undertaker low blows and puts the Hell's Gate on Triple H. Triple H tries to hit him with the hammer, but he passes out. With no ref, we ain't got no finish. So Charles Robinson comes in, but Triple H kicks out at 2 after a choke slam. Undertaker choke slams Charles Robinson for some reason. We get to the only part where anybody remembers about this match, where Shawn Michaels wakes up and he super kicks the Undertaker, who immediately gets pedigreed, and then he gets a little bit of a, I don't even remember if it's a fast count, but he kicks out at 2, and then Shawn starts crying in the corner for some reason. Commentary calls Shawn kicking the Undertaker as a momentary lapse of emotion, but the Hell's Gate happened like 5 minutes ago. Taker fires up and does his little video game comeback and hits the tombstone, but only gets a 2 count. And then Shawn goes and cries in the corner again. What's the deal this time? On the ground, the two kind of push fight, leading to trading punches. I do like that. Triple H counters a tombstone into a pedigree for another 2 count, and then Shawn cries in the corner again. What's this guy's fucking problem? The two get up and try to grab a weapon, but Undertaker gets his first, which means it's his turn to hit Triple H with the chair a whole bunch. This is why in the video games they make you drop it or it breaks it after 4 hits. So Triple H kicks out, then it's Undertaker's turn to start yelling, "Stay down!" at Triple H. Triple H tries to hit him with the hammer again, but doesn't have enough stamina meter, so he settles for a suck it taunt. Undertaker, hits him again. Shawn's in the corner again, what the fuck? Straps down, tombstone, mercifully, finally. Fuck, this one's over. Fuck. This is the worst match on this list. A slow, plodding, nonsensical, boring match, carried only by the legacies of the people who have been in it, with none of the talent to back that up. Earlier I praised the performance of Ric Flair. It's about the mind being more important than the body. And at this point, these guys had neither. Antonio Inoki should have come out here throwing chairs. That guy from that CZW clip should have been screaming at them to end the fucking match. For the sake of the integrity of this list, I cannot rate anything 0 stars. That's kind of a rule I set for myself. So the absolute floor, the absolute bottom, half a star. Fuck this match. It's terrible.
Number 1, No Way Out 2001 versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, 3 Stages of Hell.
So here we are, the best match of Triple H's career. They said it couldn't be done. So we have this 2 out of 3 falls match. Apparently, Triple H hit Stone Cold with a car last year. Now they're big mad at each other. It's time for the 3 Stages of Hell. The first fall is normal rules. The second fall is a street fight. The third fall, if necessary, will be a steel cage match. Ooh, how fun. We start off hot, as we tend to start off hot. Trading punches. They're trying to go for moves. Shawn, who's in this match? Austin goes for the Luthez press, but he's too close to the ropes. Hits the stun gun. H gets an arm breaker and sells it too big on the outside. He even gets to almost go for a pedigree pretty early on, but his arm too hurdy to get it locked in. So Austin picks up on this, so he starts laser targeting the arm. That's good stuff. This match is all Stone Cold, but as soon as I think that, Triple H counters the flying nothing and hits him with a bunch of neck breakers. Just as commentary points out, like, oh, he's targeting that neck. It's hurt from injury. Triple H changes gears, starts going for the knee. So Triple H locks in the figure 4 and pulls on the ropes for leverage, and I don't want to talk about this fucking match. It's not good. I wrote a bunch of notes, play-by-play type stuff, going over the basic structure. Austin wins the first fall. Triple H wins the second. And then they do the third fall. But here's the thing. They kind of go for this idea that Triple H will have an advantage in the first fall as the technical wrestler, and Stone Cold will have the advantage in the second fall that he's the brawler guy. But like, is Triple H really such a technical wrestler? Like, not really. That was even more Stone Cold's thing before he got hurt, which I guess kind of mirrors Triple H's career in a way. They end up fighting for a really fucking long time. The match is like over half an hour, I think. And throughout the 3 gimmicks, they have like kind of a half-baked version of each of them. Like, it would have been better if like they just got rid of all that and had like a 1-fall match that like just escalated in violence, but couldn't figure that out, I guess. They couldn't figure out because they Stone Cold Steve Austin got hit with a car, so now you can't have him not going crazy right away. Like, the stipulations aren't built for it, right? They can't have that escalating violence because it's already so escalated. They can't get it. I can't fault the booking of this match, though. That's not really what this is about. 2.5 stars. My favorite part of the match. So there's a part where Triple H, they get JR's headset off, and you think like, man, the King really kind of takes over as both the, like, because it takes a while for JR's stuff to get back together, and the King like really takes over as like the voice of reason. You need that yin and yang, and in that moment, the King is actually able to kind of like take that role over, like begs Triple H not to do this type of thing. That's kind of the coolest part of the match, is Jerry the King Lawler's commentary, which is an insane sentence to say out loud. What the fuck? It's the most like boring thing. The finish is okay. So like I said, with the gimmick though of Triple H being like the scientific wrestler, like, is he really? He's kind of just a brawler. He just throws punches a lot. All of his moves are like strike moves. He doesn't really have any holds. He does a figure 4 in this match. He does an Indian Deathlock in the chamber. I don't know, man. This guy is 2.5 stars. Watch it or don't. We're crunching the numbers. Triple H's win-loss record across these 15 matches is 6 wins, 9 losses. Nice. There were 13 unique opponents across these 15 matches. Controlling for the Elimination Chamber, which had the most participants, it becomes 10 opponents. The most recurring opponents were Chris Jericho from the Raw Tag Main Event, the Elimination Chamber, and the Last Man Standing. Tied with Shawn Michaels in the Elimination Chamber, the Unsanctioned Street Fight, and the WrestleMania 20 Triple Threat match. However, Shawn Michaels makes the most appearances in these matches, as he's also the special guest referee across 2 of them. Behold my line graph. These are the matches Triple H had by a year, with 5 matches coming from the year 2000. Now, one of the limitations of this list, because it was curated, this really only covers a 15-year span from the year 2000 to the year 2014. But as you can see, it's very top-heavy with 2000, and you get 2 matches here or there. Some huge stretches of his career where none of the matches were apparently notable, and then a couple at the end here. This reflects Triple H's retirement happening a couple years after this, I believe in 2018, but we're not crunching that number, so it doesn't matter. Here are the 15 matches ranked by my personal ratings, as I gave in this video. With The Undertaker Hell in a Cell match being the worst, and The Rock's Iron Man match being the best. The Undertaker match fell 14 spots to get to number 15, and The Rock's Iron Man match rose 4 spots to get to number 1. This is the ranking for each opponent on their star average, controlling for the Elimination Chamber. Note that Jericho and Shawn Michaels have also been controlled for the Elimination Chamber. The Undertaker, 1 star average. Batista, 2 stars. Stone Cold, 2.5 star average. The Rock, 3 stars. Shawn Michaels, 3 star average. Jericho, 3 star average. Benoit, 3.5 star average. Flair, 4 star average. Danielson, 4.5 stars. And number 1 Triple H opponent based on these numbers, Cactus Jack, with the 4.5 star average star rating. On a 5-star match rating scale, Triple H 43.5 stars out of a possible 75 for a 58% point rating. I mean, with extra credit, he might have been able to pump that up to a D. In addition, 8 matches were for a championship, while 7 matches were simply personal grudge matches. All but 2 of the matches had some sort of special stipulation attached to it. However, one of these matches was the Backlash match, which had so much hokey bullshit attached to it that you could almost call it an angle more than a match. Ironically, one of the only matches that did count DQs was the Iron Man match, which featured DQ point exchanges. And finally, I thought would be interesting is we're going to go through each person's match history on Cage Match, rank their matches by their rating, and then see where these matches would place for these participants on their own personal lists. I think is interesting as well. For the Triple H list, we obviously had a curated effort what are the best specifically Triple H matches, these matches are put in raw ranking, as in the match gets rated, and then it purely is here's a list, number 10 being the best, number 1 being the worst, and just work your way down. So yeah, let's see how it goes. For Chris Benoit, the Raw tag goes up to number 6. The Triple Threat is ranked as his number 1. For Jericho, the tag is number 4. The Elimination Chamber stays in the same spot at number 10, and the Last Man Standing match does not get listed at all. For Stone Cold, the 3 Stages of Hell drops to number 3, but the tag goes up to number 4, which is kind of crazy. For The Undertaker, the No DQ match is not listed. However, the Hell in a Cell match drops to number 4. For Flair, the Last Man Standing match is not listed. For The Rock, the Iron Man stays in the same spot at number 5, and the Backlash match goes up to number 10. For Shawn Michaels, the Triple Threat match raises to number 2. However, the Street Fight and Elimination Chamber knock down to number 8 and number 12 respectively. For Bryan Danielson, their singles match at WrestleMania does not get listed and is in fact number 43 on his list. For Dave Bautista, the Hell in a Cell match goes up to number 1, and for Cactus Jack, the Street Fight goes to number 1 and the Hell in a Cell to number 4. Finally, for our boys who only appeared in the Elimination Chamber match, RVD's spot rose to number 1, Kane was number 2, and Rob Van Dam was also number 1, which I feel like that can't be right. For any of them, maybe for Kane, you could take that as his best match in his career. But RVD and Booker T, that's insane. And so yeah, that's interesting. As you can see, we actually had a few people who had their number 1 matches with Triple H. Batista, Cactus Jack, and I mean, like I said at the beginning, I kind of attributed a Tom McGee thing to it, but seems like that's not really the case. It's just Triple H is just a middling wrestler. He got 58% in his chart here, so that's kind of where we're at. Paul Levesque is a performer of dissonance. In WWE kayfabe, he'll go down as a top 10 Mount Rushmore whatever. In the broader world of professional wrestling, I don't think he cracks the top 100. His character is a cool badass who, in reality, is cringe. His character is that of a vicious heel, but his ring work is bites without teeth. There's no viciousness or heat to it. He headed up a group called Evolution, and in this 14-year analysis, he doesn't change a single bit, other than slowing down after a terrible injury. And boy, is he slow. I'm almost willing to bet that you could get something more watchable if you edited his matches down, trimmed out the parts where they're just kind of standing around or just laying around, and you might get something good. Maybe. I think he has the impression that these long selling sequences make the match feel grandiose and epic, but it really kind of makes it look like he gets beaten up easily and is out of shape. I'm aware that I'm on camera right now. An opponent like Stone Cold Steve Austin really highlights these things. You can see in direct strike exchanges, whereas Stone Cold throws wild, fiery, intense punches. Triple H's are so cold, it kind of just comes across as lame. Against an opponent who can work around these flaws, like Flair, Foley, or Jericho, you can seem to be able to get something good about it. Against an opponent like Undertaker, who has these same weaknesses, good God. So I walk away from this experience more than a little disappointed. I feel like I gave this guy a fair shake. I wanted to become a new fan. I don't know. I guess I could do the engagement game thing. So if you have any Triple H promos or matches, comment down below. Let me know what you think, I guess. Let me know what you think of this video. I hope you liked it. If you do like it, I'll make a lot more wrestling content. It's kind of fun. I enjoy watching wrestling and writing my thoughts about it and doing this stupid vlogging shit. So I'll do more. I'll do that video about the title match, or the titles next, if you want. But yeah, comment below if you think there are matches that I should have watched that I didn't, or should have talked about but I didn't, or promos that you think are good. Maybe just like we got this cold calculated list. obviously, like, it's limited by the way people feel about Triple H in that moment, but is the light still on? Yeah. Comment, like, subscribe. But until then, I guess he just sucks. Sorry, I tried.